In this video, we're going to look at section 1, example 3, identify positive or negative intervals. So the question is, for what intervals, this should say is, for what intervals is f of x equal x squared minus 9 positive? For what intervals is the function negative? So we're looking for positive and negative. When you're looking at positive and negative, you're really focusing on above and below the x-axis. So I have my x-axis here, and I want to look at the intervals of the graph above and below. And I've already graphed the function f of x equals x squared minus 9. I have that image here. So what I'm going to notice is that from here, I'm above the x-axis, and here, I'm above the x-axis. And we want to note that these go on forever, right, in each direction. There should be arrows. So in terms of positive, I'm looking for whatever is up here, right? Well, if it keeps going and it's going to the left, right, at the x values, that's going to be negative infinity. And I'm going to write these in interval notation. So minimum and maximum. And then what number does that go up to? All right, so it's going to trace along this whole section here, and it's going to stop right at this point here. All right, and that's going to be negative 3. Now, at negative 3, we have to be careful. All right, negative 3 is right along the axis, so it's not above it, which means we want to use a parenthesis. All right, negative 3 is not included in the positive part. And then remember, anytime we have an infinity symbol, we're also going to use a parenthesis. The other part of this is over on the right side, okay, above here, and this is at positive 3. And kind of the same idea. All right, right at positive 3, what happens is 3 isn't actually included. It goes to 3, all right, but it's not part of it because 3 is right along the axis at 0. And then we're just going to go continue forever moving in that direction. This is going off to the right. So it's going to keep going to infinity, positive infinity. So these two, from these two intervals, we're going to say that the graph is positive, or the function. The function is positive from negative infinity to negative 3, and then again from 3 to positive infinity. Now what about being negative? This part of the graph, kind of the curve of that parabola, is below the x-axis. So that's in the negative portion. And we're looking at the same thing. All right, what are the minimum and the maximum for that number? So we're going to say that the function is negative from this point here to this point here. So negative 3 to positive 3. And once again, at those 2 points, it's right at the axis, along the axis. So we're going to use parentheses. Those are not included in either the positive intervals or the negative intervals. So this answers our question. For what intervals is f of x equals x squared minus 9 positive? Well, that would be these two right here, negative infinity and negative 3, and 3 to positive infinity. And then for what intervals is it negative? That would be from negative 3 to 3. I chose to use interval notation. You can also use set builder notation, but again, I always prefer interval notation. The 2 points, and this isn't answering your question, it's just good to keep in mind. The point negative 3, 0 and 3, 0 are neither positive nor negative. All right, they're right on the axis. So that doesn't need to be part of your answer, but just keep that in mind. Be careful of the coordinates right on the x-axis. Give the triad problem. The graph's already there for you, so look for the intervals that are positive and what intervals are negative.